The attendance for last night's Raw has been described as brutal. WWE have filed a problematic new trademark, and we have an update on the possibility of Cody Rhodes appearing in this year's Royal Rumble. More on that later on. So yes, last night, Adam, we had Monday Night Raw, and the attendance has been described by Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio as brutal, as around 3,000 paid fans attended the show. To me or you, that sounds like a lot. But for WWE, it's probably not that impressive, is it?
No, WCPW outdid that in bloody hockey rinks, didn't they?
I thought we did like a couple of thousand, but
yeah. 2.5. We're close. Bring it back. We're almost on their level. He said this was the second smallest crowd, I believe, since the pandemic. Just a little over 3,000 paid. That's pretty brutal. I think the only one that was lower was the San Francisco one. So yeah, brutal.
Yeah, he also said they had less people than AEW had in Raleigh, which I believe is in North Carolina.
It
if
is.
My American geography is good, yes. For last Wednesday and for Friday's show. But he did admit, Meltzer, though, that WWE know how to handle a disappointing crowd. Like, they know how to disguise the arena and black out certain sections of the crowd and make it look more full than it actually is. But yeah, it's got to be a bit of a worrying sign for WWE, especially in the build to the Royal Rumble. Although he did also acknowledge that the Rumble is selling as expected. You know, it's the Royal Rumble. People are going to go to that regardless. But at this time of year, this is when you'd expect WWE's houses to kind of pick up a little bit.
Yeah, you'd think so, wouldn't you? The road to WrestleMania just began. It's got to be noted that the biggest draw on the show, Brock Lesnar, wasn't there. They did the video package. He is announced for next week's Raw. They're doing a weigh-in with Bobby Lashley. Mm-hmm. But it's amazing just how one person being absent can make such a difference. And I would put a lot of this down to Brock Lesnar because he's such a massive draw.
Yeah, I think so as well. Brock Lesnar, of course, has been around for a long time, but there are new stars in WWE all the time on that conveyor belt. I'm not looking forward to doing this story. WWE have filed a new trademark application for an upcoming superstar, presumably, because it's a name that we're not familiar with and it wasn't attached to any existing superstar, so we don't really know who this name was meant for. But on Twitter, Louis Dangour noted that WWE need to be a little bit more careful. The name they trademarked was Gunther Stark, and unfortunately, Adam, there was already a Gunther Stark in history.
Yeah, tell us about him.
Okay. He was a Nazi military commander. He was how am I going to pronounce this word?
Captain Lieutenant.
Oh, right. The umlaut over the A was really confusing me. Yeah, Captain Lieutenant for the U-boat command in the English Channel. So WWE have made a bit of a gaffe there. Shades.
You would Google it.
You would Google it first. Shades of when the submission sorority was at large, but more serious, more bad. Thankfully, this one hasn't gone on TV yet, so they've probably got time to change it. And I suspect they will once they realise what they've done. They probably know now. They probably realise even now.
Yeah, you would think so, wouldn't you? It's not the first time that something like this has been at least pitched in WWE. Obviously, Heidenreich almost had the Nazi frozen stormtrooper gimmick, I believe.
Good.
But that Vince, a wise man, walked out of the room, didn't he? He was so upset with that suggestion. So I can't imagine he's best pleased about Gunther Stark. Potentially making his NXT 2.0 debut. It's got to be said that I guess even if they don't use this, WWE now, assuming that this trademark filing is accepted, will have Gunther Stark on their records for the next however many years. So at least they've got that in case they need it. It's very
in case there's a resurgence in his popularity, in case everyone's all about him again.
We're not laughing, obviously. It's a very, very serious thing. But very foolish on WWE's part to trademark Gunther Stark. NXT 2.0 airing tonight.
Moving really swiftly on, we are approaching the Royal Rumble, as mentioned, and there's been speculation, hasn't there? Because there was talk that WWE were going to bring in a shock name, a surprising name, a bit of Forbidden Door action of their very own. But I think the use of Forbidden Door in all of that speculation led a lot of people to believe that it could be an AEW star, which would be groundbreaking. That would be very unexpected.
Absolutely. It wouldn't surprise me if they get Gunther Stark from the Nazi promotion.
But
maybe that's... Or maybe this is Cody's new ring.
But
cancelled? Don't know.
But Dave Meltzer has gone in on this on Wrestling Observer Radio and said Well, you mentioned Cody Rhodes. A lot of the speculation was saying, could Cody be? Because in conjunction with the whole news we reported earlier today of him being a free agent technically and not signing a new AEW contract yet, despite being one of the EVPs, his name has been one banded about. Like, could Cody be in the Royal Rumble? Meltzer's not happy with this. He's put the Cody Rhodes Royal Rumble rumors. They are, I'm sure at this point, given that no one has been denying them, that they actually want it out like this, but there's nothing of substance in the story. He says it may be the dumbest thing he has ever heard. And Meltzer's worked in wrestling for about 30 years now, so he's probably heard a lot of very silly stuff.
He's not picked up on the Gunther Stark story yet, obviously.
No, he hasn't. No.
He continues. He's an executive vice president. He may not have signed his contract because he hasn't been there. Essentially, he was supposed to go January 5th to Newark, and he actually went to Newark but had to fly home because that's when there was a family health issue, and he had to go home. So he's not been to an AEW show this year. His first one will be Wednesday. It'll be interesting to see if Cody pops up.
So it will certainly be interesting. What Meltzer is saying there, I guess, is that he may not have signed already just because of other issues going on, and it might have just been totally like a logistical thing rather than a sign of him looking elsewhere or any of that. But yeah, I mean, I really doubt it. Part of me just wants it to happen just to see the chaos that would ensue. I just think
Stardust coming out as well. He'd have to come out as Stardust, obviously. I think it's a work, personally. I think the fact that nobody has replied to Dave's texts and emails means that this is the exact reaction that they want. People are talking about this. And so, yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he's on this week's Dynamite for sure.
Fair enough. Speaking of AEW as well, Peter Avalon, was recently talked about as possibly being on his way out of the company because Fightful had revealed that he would now be taking... they revealed that I think that he was out of contract or that was expiring, or that he was taking indie bookings again, essentially, which he then said on Twitter. But... after his Twitter announcement, which was basically saying, I'm available for indie bookings, Lever Bates, formerly known, of course, as Blue Pants, jumped in and confirmed that he's still there. He's still in AEW. He's just adding indie dates. It's getting weird now, isn't it, in AEW? Because the company's a couple of years old now. And at the start, it was really feel good, like all these people are in, they're all going to be there for life. And then there was the whole Big Swole situation. There's talk that Peter Avalon may have been on his way out, but that's been denied now. But it just reminds you that, at the end of the day, it is a wrestling company. People are going to leave or get released just like anywhere else. And it's quite sad, really, to me.
Yeah, for sure. I really like Peter Avalon as well. I find him quite entertaining. I know he doesn't pop up much. He's been doing the Wingmen stuff, hasn't he? But that's sort of resigned to Dark. I think they had a match. The last one was last week, but before that it was beginning of December-ish with doing that Wheeler, Utah, Orange Cassidy stuff. I find him entertaining, but I wasn't that shocked to hear that he may be out the door. I'm glad that he's not, obviously, but he's not somebody that's utilised as much as most of the roster, in fact.
They've got a huge roster. I guess the upside of that is that they've got 4 shows, Dynamite, Dark. Yeah, they've got 4 shows, so at least they can fit people in as and where they need to be. And I think the Peter Avalon news is potentially a bit hopeful news because it's good as well that he's able to, they're not stifling him. He's not just sat at home. He can get out there and be creative and
earn
wrestle.
some cash.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's cool that they allow him to do that, right?
I think so. And finally, WWE Hall of Famer, of course, but also WCW and Impact legend Jeff Jarrett is returning to the ring this Sunday at GCW's The World, stylized, of course, as the WRLD, if you're Googling that. He's going to be taking on Effie, one of the hotter indie names in North America at the moment, and that show will emanate from a sold-out Hammerstein Ballroom in New York City. Jeff Jarrett, of course, this isn't his first appearance in GCW. He recently shockingly appeared there and attacked Effie and his tag partner Ali Catch as well with a guitar, surprisingly. I can't believe it. And now he's going to be back in action taking on Effie.
And he looks like The Undertaker.
He looked a bit dark, didn't he?
He had a hat on.
I was thinking like Painmaker, Jeff Jarrett, the Painmaker, like his Chris Jericho.
Yeah, I like that. Or Seven from WCW.
Or Seven. Or Gunther. No. Anyway, Jarrett's back.
Back. It's the biggest Hammerstein Ballroom show ever, apparently. They're packing them in there. Wow. I don't know how they're managing it, but biggest attendance expected ever. Good for them. It's cool to see so many people talking about GCW, it's a promotion that has grown and grown like since we started Cultaholic. Really, it's just sort of it's on people's lips a bit more, and the names that they're getting, the quality of the wrestling, it's all good stuff. Looking forward to seeing Jarrett in the spot that he should be at, right? Just doing like a little exhibition match. It will be a bit of fun with somebody who's fun like Effie. Good for him.
Although I'm half expecting Effie's about to win, and then Jarrett, it's the old swerve. Here comes Nash and Hall, all the guys, they're all back together.
Yes, please. And then a week later, it's announced that him, Triple H, and Cody Rhodes are starting their own promotion.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I want to see. Time will tell.
GCW, just before we end as well, I think you're right exactly to touch upon how successful they've been. They were one of the few promotions who I think almost came out of the pandemic better or handled it really well. Impact did really well, AEW did well, Stardom in Japan, I think their stock rose maybe even during the pandemic, but GCW have really had a bit of a breakout year, or could be on the cusp of one. So yeah, that'll be really interesting to see. And I think that's all the news we have today.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
That's your lot. I'm on Twitch at 6, don't know what I'm streaming yet. Something problematic.
Fair enough.
Maybe the best of Gunther Stark.
Absolutely. And I'll be on Twitch.
That was too far, that one. Sorry.
I'll be on Twitch tomorrow with Owen at 6 as well. So do check that out. That is twitch.tv/Cultaholic. Thanks for watching. Oh, go on.
I just said I regret saying that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And we'll see you very soon.